My boy,
Hey, Lou, what's up?
good man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
There you go,
Yeah, it was,
bro. I've been simmering. I've been simmering through the whole talk that we had yesterday, and I can't
yeah,
switch off my brain. So many
yeah,
things that I
yeah,
wanted to work through. So I wanted
yeah.
to go straight into it.
Okay,
Okay, so we can actually put on my boy as well. Let's see if he wants to come on.
okay.
Um, let's.
Yeah, hey, rough day for me.
I
Very,
was.
very. Yeah, but it's normal rough. It's what you would expect.
Yeah. You can prepare
Yeah,
for that. You can do anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, we ended off yesterday about talking about the sexual, well, not sexual part of religion, but actually almost sex by its own, right?
Yes, yes,
And where I wanted to start today actually was this notion that like men are always shamed for sex, or they're always shamed like genitalia wise for sex, or
yeah,
performance wise for sex,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And women generally aren't, right?
yeah.
Or at least they're aren't by men, right?
Yes,
Or men that would be with them. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, why aren't like, why don't, like, you always hear like guys aren't performing, or they're too sick in men, 2 minute
yeah,
noodles,
yeah,
and um, don't have the genitalia capacity, like size wise and all of that, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I was thinking, like, it can't all be right with women too, right?
yeah,
But why don't you hear about it? Because in the same breath that you could say that, oh, you know what, this guy has a micro penis. It's like, but if that micro penis didn't have to have sex with someone that was not flexible at all, it wouldn't be a problem, right?
yeah,
Say someone that was big, not flexible, or even small and not flexible.
yeah,
Because a lot of those things make a difference in the actual in the physicality of sex itself,
yeah.
right? So I was thinking about like why I never hear the opposite. Why I never hear guys shaming women for sex. Why guys never actually say, you know what? Perhaps you should stop being so wet. Perhaps you should stop being so dry. Perhaps you should stop being so tight or open. You never hear that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. One thing that is one of the few things that I agree with feminists on is the fact
Mm-hmm.
that sex is over and above, because we are human beings, over and above sex being about procreation, being about pleasure. It is also about power as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it being about power, then that's where the insecurities come in, and then people then exploit those insecurities, and then by pointing them out, and then them
Mm-hmm.
pointing out those insecurities. uh, I mean, for example, as men among themselves are competitive, and then over and above them being competitive, men understand the structure of understand hierarchies much better than women do. So
Mm-hmm.
if you put, for example, something like the size of a dick, the size of a dick, uh, almost most men would want to have the biggest, or like for remember, it's also about power. And then if it's about power, it's also about egos as well. It's also about, there's also an element of ego inside. So what
Mm-hmm.
happens is that women on the other side, then they see raw, they know raw, okay, these people, this is one of the insecurities that men may have, and then we may exploit this insecurity by, for example, bruising their egos. Just as men on the other side, they would use shame, for example, because women respond much better to shame rather than to, they respond much better to shame. That's why, for example, you'd see the words, for example, slut are used. The word slut are used, the sluts, and then yeah, and all those bad names. While men on the other side,
they're bad in certain situations and very good in certain situations.
Yes, exactly. So now you get into a situation whereby women know that. For example, I'll make an example. As a man, there's really nothing you can do to change the size of your dick. I can't think of anything that's not gonna put your health in danger that you can do to change the size of your dick. You see, but then remember, this is a problem that is as old as humanity itself, and then which is why even before the sexual liberation that we currently have now, men had assumed the role of actually taking control of that and making sure that, for example, men, not just men, but men and women, because they were aware of the fact that, for example, if you are a woman and then you sleep with a lot of guys, you are likely to compare these people, and then during that comparison, then that may even affect your ability to enjoy sex with the person who you should be enjoying sex with. For example, I'll make an example. If you meet a lady, the ladies are not gonna like this one. If you meet a lady, for example, who has had, let's say, plus minus 7 sexual partners or more, let's say, because right now people can have as like even 20 to 30 to 40 sexual partners by the time they're 30, for example. It is a whole different sexual experience between. There's a whole different sexual experience between a woman who has had that, and it's not that her vagina has been stretched or is big or something. It's mental as well, in such a way that she has seen enough to compare, and then she has seen more than enough to compare, and then that puts her in a situation whereby she can actually be, it takes away, okay, for sex to be pleasurable, you have to be there, you have to be present in the moment. You don't have to focus on what's small and what's big, or what's smelling and what's not smelling, or what's what. You have to be there. You have to be there at that present moment. I mean, for anything that we call fun, for you to actually have fun, you have to actually be there. I wouldn't even call it focus, because it's not necessarily focus. It's not like you are shutting everything down. It's just that you are here. It's like being in a club, and then being in a club, and then you are thinking about your problems or what's on the other side. That's why we use alcohol, for example, so that we can be able to forget about what's outside and then focus on what is here. So for sex to be that meaningful, and then to be that important, and then to be that fulfilling, you have to be there, and then it cannot be. You both have to be present in the moment. You have to be there in the moment, and then you can be able to enjoy. But then, if let's say you have had sex with 6 or 7 people, you may actually get into the point, or let's say you have watched too much porn, you can actually get into the point whereby you are there, but then when you close your eyes, you are thinking about something that's totally not there. Or you may end up even calling the names of people who are not even there. You understand? So these people have always, even though they might not have maybe properly articulated or found the name for it, but then it is as old as humanity. That is why other religions actually say, okay, you can and then well, by the way, this also affects women much more, because women are much more emotional than men, as far as this is concerned. They are much more inclined to also not having orgasms through the body, but then also the mind and then the emotions. If they are invested in that, then they can be able. Everything has to be in sync for them to actually enjoy the experience and all that. And then it helps when the woman does not had sex with a lot of men. That's why the whole hot girl summer, hot girl summer, what you call whole face thing. It's just a it's just a bunch of clownery that people say to themselves in order to justify actions that may be fun at the moment, but then are going to horribly affect their lives in the later years. So that is what happens. And then I think also the other problem, what makes things difficult currently, is that we want to force this idea that men are equal to women, and then men are the same as women, and then there is no difference between men and women, except that the other one pumps out sperm and then the other one collects it. But then there is a huge, there are many differences that some can be seen, some cannot, some can't be seen, some can be touched, maybe some can't be touched. That exists between men and women. And then those differences, so the old people, remember that the old people, when the old people were coming up with all these laws, or when they were creating religion, or when they were formulating the rules or the laws upon which religion has to be structured, they were not really basing it on it was not necessarily science as in you studied it or you studied something. It was based on pattern. It was mainly based on patterns of what works and what doesn't work, which is why their methods were effective, even though they were not really deeply studied. But then they were extremely effective because they sifted out what works and then what doesn't work, and then they took what works and then they made it part of their culture. And then that is why we have a religion that we have now. And then you cannot explain some of the things that are there because they can't explain, but then they work. You understand? So that is all I can say, I think, about that. And then I think let me give you a stage as well.
Yeah. You mentioned something there about smell and disgust and all those things, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that, again, something like male genitalia you can't really change, right?
Yeah.
But then going back to the point that I was trying to get to as well, which kind of ties into that, is the fact that I think what generally happens is that, like, going back to that, men would never say no for sex, right?
Yes.
And then women have to say no at certain times because they then decide who's going to be made next, right?
Yes.
So they're mother nature in that sense. So therefore, they won't just sleep with anyone. They have to sleep with the best person possible to then survive. Right?
Yes.
So they can afford to say no.
Yes.
Right? Whereas men we don't really, it doesn't matter. We just almost kind of here to be there, to be able to then be picked.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then what tends to happen is that then men generally don't want to then not be sexually selected. Right? We always want to be in the game.
Yes.
Right? Whereas women are kind of like, look, we want to be in the game, but it always has to be the best game possible.
Yes.
Right? So therefore, it's like, if a guy shames a woman for sex, any kind of sex, or any kind of shaming, then what happens is then you stop being part of the game.
Yes.
And it's a bad strategy for you. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And then when a woman does it, it's like, well, whatever. I know that there will always be other guys that'll be there to then perform for me. Or even the guy that I'm shaming would then try to then always make sure that he's part of the game.
Yes.
So you get the situation so you get to a situation whereby a female can then say, no, look, this guy's genitalia or this guy's performance is trash.
Yeah.
And then the guy will look at the girl and say, you were dry, or you were too wet, or your performance was terrible,
And
or
it doesn't
like,
count.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can look at all of those things, right? And
yeah,
then say, I could easily say the exact same thing about you. Your labia was pushing out, or whatever it is,
yeah,
right? Or you were too big, or you were too thin, or
yeah,
whatever it is. There's you were you're the odor I didn't like. All sorts of stuff
yeah,
that is viable, that'll deter someone from having sex. But instead of doing that and getting yourself out of the game completely, you'd rather still be in the game. So you'd rather take the punches, be in the game, than rather say the truth and not be in the game,
yeah,
right? Which
yeah,
is then obviously detrimental to you as the guy, because then it's like, well, you'll just keep getting this abuse. And if you're not going to then address this abuse with then telling the truth back, then you're going to have to keep taking it,
yeah.
right? But then
Yeah,
the alternative is that then if you give it back, then you're out of the game.
yeah,
So it's almost like we kind of play a game where we say, well, I'll rather take it, I'd rather have it, and then not tell you what you need to know or you
yeah,
need to hear, because I still want to be part of this whole selection process of sex,
yeah.
which is
You
also
know,
detrimental to
yeah,
the woman,
yeah,
because then they don't get to hear the truth. So then they end up getting into a situation whereby you can, again, going back to an example that you made now, you can sleep with 10 guys. Guy 1 to 6 probably won't tell you that you stink or that there's a foul odor, because they don't want to lose you.
mm,
You know, they don't want to then actually be without a woman. So they will just
yeah,
keep doing that.
yeah.
And they won't tell you.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry to to interrupt you. I think the basis of that is that we can use a simple basic economics to explain that. We women are this women control sex on them, and
Mm-hmm.
then we on the other side we control marriage and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
There is no man that can have sex unless he's raping. There is no man that can have sex without a woman's consent or without a woman selecting and saying, okay, this is yeah. So for us to be in the game, we have to be on our. We have to play right. And
Yes.
then yeah,
By the other person's rules.
yes, yes, we have to play by their rules because it's a what you call, is it a buyer's market or seller's market? I forgot the economics term for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then what happens is that they control the price, they control the price of sex, and then they control sex as a commodity, and then in such a way that whoever wants it will have to play by their rules, and then will have to abandon his rules and then play by their rules. And even if you can say this is shit, even if you say okay, yours stinks, and then yours is not that good, and what, it does not matter because there are more buyers than the product. So now even if you can say that there's the next guy who's gonna come and say no, actually yours smells like roses, and then from there and then there will be 10 guys that say no, yours smells like roses, and then you will be the only one saying no, I don't appreciate the smell here. So it's gonna be like that, and then from there then it's gonna be like what, it's gonna be to a point whereby no one believes you, and then even if you can say that hers was big or hers was too small, no one will believe you because there's 10 more guys that are willing to take the same and enjoy it. There are 10 more guys that are willing to take that product and enjoy it, even if it's not that good. Even if it's not that good. But then just because it's something that we need so much. It's something that we need it as much as we in the same way that we need food. Well, you cannot beggars cannot be choosers when it comes to that. So yeah. So now in the same way, when it comes to marriage, it doesn't matter. It's not normal. It's unusual, and then it's like at the end of the day, there's no girl that can get married without a guy saying, "Okay, I want to marry you." So it always has to, and then that frustrates them as well as it frustrates us that that they are controlling sex. It also frustrates them because you can date her for 10 years and then from there, and then the risk of leaving your relationship and going to another guy, it's much riskier because she's going to have to start another 10 years there. And then she's going to have to start to count from zero. And then that's why you find that there are girls that have been dating guys for for many years, but then they're not getting married or they're not even getting the serious relationship. That is why at the end of the day, you'll find women being used as pump and dump or as smash and dash, whatever. You know those terms. Yeah, I don't want to go deep into it. Yeah. So now that's what happens. And then so that's why if you see, for example, when you see that, you'll find out that the more that's where the desperation kicks in, that the more women grow, the more they reach 30, 35, and then they start lowering all their standards about men. They even starting to consider that guy with an average dick, or that guy with average looks, or that guy who's not so tall, or that guy who's not so rich. And then they start lowering the price because they see that if they keep the price high, they will be out of the game, and they cannot be able to play the game if they are. So the same thing with the guys. If you check, for example, 18-year-olds or 16-year-old, 18, 19, 20, or guys who are broke, they cannot really say much about the price. They cannot really say much about the price. Yes. Yeah, they can't say much about the price. So what happens is that they have to then take what they're given until they develop themselves or build value in themselves in such a way that they can be able then to command and then pick, or okay, I no longer want this one, I want this one. And then when do they get that? At their 30s, when their emotions and at work, and then getting proper salaries and everything, and then starting to look nice and then smell nice and then being attractive to the women. And then they get that as they grow older. That's why it's easier for a 40-year-old man to get a hot 23-year-old, because he has all that the 23-year-old can think of, can demand. But then for a 23-year-old boy who's unemployed and is still a student and then is eating instant porridge, it's not easy for him to convince another 23-year-old, okay, you know what, pick me over that guy. So it's quite sad. And then from there, it gets to the point whereby you will find that women that are out of the game, that have been put out of the game, the 35-year-olds, the 35 or above, the ones that have decided not to play the game, for example, the game of marriage, for example, they will then say things like, men who date girls who are 20, who are in their 20s are sexual predators, are predators, and then all that. So it's just a way to say, okay, forget. It's just a way of them fighting to get back into the competition by saying, you know what, cut that one out. That is one. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, But then at the end of the day, we know for sure that there is really nothing wrong with a 40-year-old man dating a 25-year-old. There's the 25-year-old girl. There's really nothing wrong. And then even women know that themselves. But then it's something that they will always hide or use against. And then they will try to see if you can easily get shape. And then if they find out that no, you actually don't crack easily, and then they will also change the tactics or move to the next guy.
Yeah, that's actually very true, man. Just wait. Yeah, no, that's very true, bro. Sorry. Yeah, when women get older, in order for them to be relevant and stay into the game, they need to then break the rules.
Yes, they have to eliminate they have to eliminate the competition. They have to. So it's one thing. It's just part of life, as I'm saying. It's one of those things that you can't really complain about, because I cannot allow a woman to shame me into thinking or my my 4-5 is abnormal or something. There's really nothing that you can do about some of the things. I mean, what can you do about your height? You cannot stretch yourself and then and then make yourself and then yeah, make yourself. Oh, I think okay. Now I'm getting distracted by the questions there. I don't know whether it's challenge.
To answer, I try to invite him on. He's always trying to talk nonsense, but then there's always that those real questions embedded in there. So I try to invite him on now, but obviously he's not you know, he's not keen to be seen yet. That's a good question.
Yeah.
About a
Okay.
40-year-old, there's a 20-year-old man.
Yeah. Okay. I can answer that one. Remember, the relationship between man and a woman or the marriage it's not about people don't get married to massage each other's feet. People get married so that they can be able to procreate and have more children. So and have more children and build and have more children. That is the basic. Yeah, the cohabitate and then build their family. So it's not really to massage each other's feet. For dating, if, for example, he's asking if a 23-year-old boy can date a 40-year-old woman. Yeah, fine, they can date, but then they must know that a 40-year-old woman is likely to have reached menopause. And then if you want to have children, even if you're a 23-year-old man, you are going to have to dump that woman and go find a woman who is in the childbearing age, So that's why such relationships, as much as such relationships, when it comes to marriage, are not normal. Are not normal in such a way that, but then a 40-year-old man can pretty much have a family can start a family with a 23-year-old. But then on the other side, it's like the other one leads to the end of life or to not. You cannot be able to start life with the other if you swap them. For example, if you take a 23-year-old man, a 23-year-old male, and a 40-year-old woman, it's likely that the other one is already in menopause. So whatever sex that they have or their attempts in starting families are likely to going to crumble because the other one has already hit the clock. You see. So, but when it comes to men, I think I don't know when does a man's sperm stop fertilizing the egg. But I think it's not something that we can even because men as long as men are healthy, I think they can still be able to are healthy and then able to deliver sperm. They can be able to fertilize the egg and then get babies. Yes. So that's why I'm saying that it's not equal. We are not equal. We are not equal because we are not the same. You cannot equate things that are not the same. So with women, it's unfair. I don't like the fact that at 40 they already, in fact at 35 they already have to start worrying about menopause, because it's not like they start worrying about menopause when they are 40. At 35 they already start panicking and all that. So it's not me, I did not create that, and then it's not the fault of any guy. It's just nature. It's like that. And then if a boy is dumb enough if a 23-year-old boy is dumb enough to marry a 40-year-old with the hope of starting a family, he's just dreaming. And then again, it's not something that I created. It's like that. I'm just reading the rules of nature as they are written. So yeah, I think yeah.
Yeah, there's some good points there.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. There's some good points there. Very, very relevant, true, good points. And
biology.
Again, when you swap it around, hey?
Yeah. No, I'm saying that it's basic biology, stuff that we should not even be arguing about. I mean, we can't argue about menopause. We can't argue about male sperm. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. And what tends to happen, which is the reason why males or females always prefer older guys and males always prefer younger girls, is because at the end of the day, when you're going to get to your 30 or your 40 as a male, at some point you do envision yourself as well with a family. Right? Because ultimately, our goal is to have a family.
Yes.
Our whole goal of living life is to have a family, because if you're going to procreate, then someone's going to be a father to someone and someone's going to be a mother to someone. So your goal is to procreate. So you might not think about it when you're in your 20s or in your 30s as a guy, because you can do it whenever you want. But at
Yes.
some point, you're going to lead to that. Now, the issue is then there are some women that either can't have kids, right, or don't want to have kids, which
Yeah.
is very rare. And it's very tough on them as well, because then it's like, well, then who are you going to pick? Because if you don't want kids, which guy are you going to then be with that doesn't want kids? Which is why then they go for the younger guys, because the guys that are their age are always going to be there with them, until then she turns 35 and he's 35, and he's going to think, well, I need to start a family. Then she says, I don't want kids. Then he's going to say, well, then I'll go and be with someone that's going to want to have kids. And then she gets older, they both get older. And then he goes, okay, I'll go for the next 30-year-old. And now she has to go back to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
And then pick another guy that's going to then last all those years as she's also getting older and older. And then he's going to get to a point where he's going to say, look, I also want to have a family. And then boom again. And then they become sugar mamas. They have to then be sugar mamas for pretty much forever, because you don't want to have kids. You don't want to have children. There's only so much that sex can do. Even for males, we get to a point where we say, well, okay, I can still be with you and I can still have sex with you, but now what? I want to have kids. Are you willing to have kids? No. Well, I'm going to go to the next person that has kids. Whereas the other way around, it doesn't work.
Yes. So it is like that, because the thing is that we are reaching at this time. We are dealing with such things at this time. We are even arguing about this at this time because we have the liberty of dating people who are older, because the market has been deregulated in such a way that the rules have been taken off the game. But then there was a time whereby you could not even approach an older lady, because that was disrespect over and above, like above everything. It was disrespect. And then also there would be certain punishments that would be issued for such actions. Yeah. So we are only, we actually, I think we are the victims of our own freedom, because all these things come with the freedom. Because the things that freedom comes with the responsibilities as well. It's not, and the responsibilities are much more difficult than anything. So it's very sad, and then I know that it's something that frustrates women a lot, because when women see a 40-year-old woman, 40-year-old man, or even a 52-year-old man dating a 23-year-old, to them that is frustrating, especially those that
all of us went there.
Yes. Yes. So but the fact is that in that relationship, life can still be created. But then if you swap if we take the 52-year-old man and then 23-year-old, it's a dead end. It's a dead relationship. Life, there's no magic there, and then life cannot be created. It's unfair, but then it is what it is.
And you know what also tends to happen is that for a guy, it's almost like an honor and a privilege to actually date someone that's much older than you.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it's like you get all the benefits that you would get just like you would from your mother. But now it's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So it's a sexual relationship, and it's every kind of relationship. So what happens is that then the females then start to treat you like that, which is why then it's even better or easier to embed yourself in that, because then it's like, I know what this figure is. I know what this type of figure is. I've seen it. I grew up with it. That's a mother figure that I know. Therefore, it's comfortability for me. And therefore, I actually want this, instead of a figure that's going to be my age, that then is going to be rebellious just like me. I don't like that figure because that's my sister or that's my cousin. I've never gotten along with her and she's never gotten along with me, and we always fight. I want someone that's going to be devoted to me. So then those females tend to come through with that type of mentality, whereby when they're dating younger guys, it's almost like a mother figure. I'm trying to give you this.
Yeah.
And then we confuse that with attraction, right? And then we say, oh no, we're so attracted to this woman, she's amazing. It's like, fine, fair enough. As times goes by, you get to a point as a guy where now you have to make decisions. Now you start earning your own money. Now you start, you get higher positions at a job. You become more social. You then start to see that everything that this person is giving you, you can now give it yourself.
Yes.
Now, the one thing that that person can't give you will always stay the same, and that
Yeah.
is the family.
Family. Yeah.
And as soon as that happens, then they realize, oh, I can't give him that. And then they try to give more and more. Then you say, look, I will take it. But at the end of the day, it's like, I still need a family.
Yeah.
And no matter how much or what you will give me, nothing is going to buy me a family. Nothing is going to substitute that. And that's the biggest problem with women that get to that age, that don't want families, that don't want children, is the fact that they have to date younger guys, because then the guys that are their age are going to obviously overlook them, because it's like, yeah, well, cool, you can be a side chick, but that's it. Like, no, but I want to family. And it's going to be like,
it's gonna end there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be a side chick, and it's gonna end there. And then which actually brings me into another topic that, again, women don't want to talk about. The polygamy or the poly relationships. Remember, again, over and above,
it works the one way and not the other way.
Yes. So now, over and above, we must remember that over and above, again, like this just highlights how safe we are. Like, this entire thing, it highlights how safe we are currently. As much as we like to say, hey, women are in danger, that's bullshit. Women are not in any danger. Women are in danger, there's GBV and everything. Yeah, it's nice terms, and then it's also highly publicized. But then that is bullshit. There was a time in history whereby a woman would not stay alone because it was dangerous for even her to stay alone. So if she left the protection of her own father, she was going to have to go to another protection of another man. So marriage was not only about procreation. Again, there was also an element of security in it. But by a security, I don't just mean, I mean a real security that someone can come and then do whatever they want to do with you if you are not under the protection of a man. You see, and then men, because of their biological of the biological gifts, the biological gifts of strength, and then knowing how to unite and fight. So they had a responsibility. They had a responsibility to protect women at the time. You see. So now, part of you as a father, part of where, as you see that you are getting older, there was also going to be a time whereby you actually have to facilitate the arrangement of your daughters to get married, so that they can be under the protection of another man that you probably share the values with. You see. So now. So now that sort of bridged the process whereby women can think that they can, for example, live alone. But then currently we have situations whereby women we have outsourced all of these things, security. We have outsourced of policing, security to the government. So the government now becomes the big husband, and then they think that they are free, but then they are not free because they are still under the control of men. Because at the end of the day, when someone is mooring the door or the glass window at 12 midnight, they call, and then when they call, they don't expect another woman to come. They expect a man to come, you see. So now the role of a husband has sort of been outsourced to the government. And then so the government becomes this big daddy who's the husband of almost every woman, you see. And then that fucks up the society that we live in, because it fucks up, well, there are benefits in it, is that everyone becomes safe, but then it also fucks up the society we live in such a way that you have people who think that they can grow, and that they think that families are not important, or that children are not important. You see. So it's yeah. I think that that's about it. When it comes to families, women, and also those age dynamics and relationships.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Like that's why, like, I mean, most of the stuff that you're saying is exactly why I think that I never agree with most of the radical feminist talks, because they're actually doing the exact opposite of what they're saying to you, in the sense that you're not actually giving anyone freedom. You say you're giving women freedom, but maybe in the short term you are, but it's going to be detrimental in the long term. It's not
Yeah.
going to be it's not a good fighting process to do in the long term, because now it's not like there's not going to be any tyrannical people. It's not like the people that are evil are just going to disappear, especially males. Now, who's going to protect you from those people?
Yes.
Right? Because we also need protection from those people, but then guys know exactly how to protect themselves. Now, as soon as you then say to a woman, look, you can go, it's the same thing as, it's like you can tell a baby, look, go out there. There's no adult that's going to go and try and do something to you. It's like, of course there is, but most adults won't. But you only need one adult to try to do it to everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's like same with families. It's like, well, you need families like that. It's not that it's abusive or that it's putting people down, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually good for both parties, and both parties need to then make sure that everyone is taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And it's like these things fall apart the older that they get, because at the moment when they're in their 20s, they want to push all this narrative because that's what they want. That's, I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want it with no consequences. As soon as you get to 30 and 40, then you say, oh, you know what I want? I want to change it now. I want to actually have the other thing. And it's like, no, whatever you chose, that's what you're going to get.
No, you can't have the other thing at 40. You can't have the other thing at 40, because at 40 you have already reached menopause. You can't start a family at 40. And then again, you cannot say that.
Like to ignore it. It's better to ignore it. The thing is, ignoring it doesn't mean that it's not there. That's why when women get to 35 and 40, then they say, shit, actually, this thing is actually here. It's like, yes, it's here. It was always going to be here. They wanted to ignore it, but now it's here. Now you have to use the other tactics where then you say, oh, no, don't worry. Let me tell everyone else that's coming up that it's not here. It's not here. And that nothing will happen. And then when they get there, they fall into the same trap. And then you become the biggest problem to feminists or to women as a feminist. And then it's like, men, we're not trying to lie. Most men are not trying to lie about that. It's like, well, you're going to get to 35. And then what? I can be 40. I don't need to be with you at 35. I can string you along for 10 years. What are you going to do then? So therefore, you need to negotiate for yourself to say, look, if at 30 you're not going to be serious with me, then I'm going to leave. Right? And you need to be serious about it, because as soon as you're not, then I'm going to say, well, she's not gone. I'll just do it when I'm 45. And then she's going to be 35. At 50, I'll say, okay, I'm ready. And then she's going to be 40. And she's going to say, but I can't have kids. And I'm going to say, okay, well, I guess nothing else we can do. Let's go back to the start. And then you're left stranded.
Oh, you're going to be my side. You're going to be my perpetual side chick. I'll offer you protection, but then in privacy. In privacy, my wife will not know about it.
And then you are the devil that you know.
Yes, and then you'll be the perpetual side chick, which is unfair, which is why I always say to women that I don't know how did we get to the point whereby you've got women who think that being a side chick is better than being the second wife. I just don't understand that. How to being the second wife to a polygamous man. I don't understand that. And then in most cases you'll find that it's actually rooted in pride, and then it's rooted in pride.
And it's hope. It's hope and pride.
Rooted in hope and pride that there's gonna be some guy who comes. But then the fact of the matter is that there are very, 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 very few. If with men without pressure from the society and then pressure from the structures, many men don't even prioritize marriage that much. So there are very, very few men who actually prioritize marriage. So it's only because of the pressure. And then men can survive. Actually, the people that can survive without marriage are men more than women. Men can survive to the end of their days without marriage. But then with women, it's very, very.
You can even go as far to say as when men do get married, then their chances of survival is depreciated.
Yeah. For them depreciate, but then for the women it increases because there's more security. Yes.
So, because of the guy, chances are you're going to be the primary breadwinner, and if you're the primary breadwinner, then if you then divorce,
exactly,
you're going to end up poor.
Exactly,
You're gonna end
exactly.
up poor,
Yeah,
paying alimony.
but then for them, because remember what the government, because remember the laws, in fact, the laws are drawn so that they can be able to benefit, whether it's in the laws. Because remember, if you have got, if you are married to a woman, and then you have been living together with that woman, let's say for 20 to 15, maybe sort of for 15 to 20 years, for example, and then you have children. It, regardless of what you wrote on your prenup or whatever you wrote, uh, you will have to, if let's say for example you now have to divorce, because you have to divorce, you maybe we can say that both of you need to leave the house, because you have to divorce and then you have to dissolve the house, maybe sell, to dissolve your asset and sell. But then the children are the children are the children have to, the children cannot be homeless. The government cannot allow children to be homeless while you sell your house. So meaning that the house cannot be sold until the children are fully grown. So the children have to live in that house, for example. And then now that the children have to live in that house, the woman is the primary custodian of the children. And then because the woman is the primary custodian of the children, she cannot be able to manage those children or take custodian of, and then be a custodian of those children while she lives under the bridge or in a motel. So that means she has to remain in the house. Meaning that who now has to go, who now has to leave the house? It's you, the man. You have to go and then find an apartment or start another or build another house. So that is how laws favor them. And then also, I'm not also complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that the laws should not favor them. Should not. It's just one of the rules. I'm sure you know by now. I don't like to fight the rules. I like to fight, to play and keep the rules if I can. But then I don't like to fight them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the inequalities that is natural, that should happen.
Yeah.
It's not like we're fighting it because it's unfair. It's like, well, nothing is going to be fair.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there's gonna be some unfair things and there's gonna be some fair things. And some things you're gonna benefit from, some things that you won't benefit from, and someone else will do it. So whenever you make choices, you need to then understand what the consequences of it are and what your probabilities of losing or winning are. And as soon as you make that choice, then you then can't then say, oh, well, if I lose, this is unfair. It's like, no, you decided to play that game.
Yeah.
You decided to then go into a marriage. And then when you got into that marriage, you knew that where you stood life-wise, and you knew that you were then going to then pay the most or lose the most when something like this happened. Yeah. You made that first decision. So when you made it and then something like that does happen, you can't then scream, oh no, look, it's unfair, because you made that first step. So there's going to be some inequalities, and you can't have anything equal. You don't even want things to be equal. Because again, if things are equal, then we can't even trade. What's the point of trading things? So the whole point of making it slightly unequal is so that then nature can actually exist. You know, so again, it's like it's like with things like that, with marriage and relationships like and between men and women, is that we can't live with equalities. We can say we want things to be equal. It's like, really, how are we gonna make it equal? It's never gonna be equal. You might push for it as often as you can, but you find that even if the closer you get to trying to push equality, then all of a sudden you get people's differences that'll be there. That someone that actually doesn't want to do certain things. So things can't be equal. But you can then reach a harmonious meeting point where then you're both comfortable.
Yeah, I think now that you mentioned that, the reason why equality, first of all, equality is a myth. And then because it's a myth.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, because it's a myth, then a lot of people who are at the bottom, they are going to constantly fight for that myth, because it's what keeps them going. They hope that one day we are gonna be equal. But
we can close that gap.
Yes, they busy wanna close that gap, and then in their attempts to try to close this gap, then the gap opens up more, because by them trying to be equal, that means now the ones above no longer have much responsibility to deal with, because now they can collect more. Because remember, now they can be
And not only that, every time they try to move the gap up, they then become the people at the top, and then they leave these people.
Yes.
And then it just keeps going up, and then these people keep going up. So there'll always be a constant gap all the time.
Exactly.
So the more that they try to then be the people at the top, these people underneath them look at them and they say, oh, you guys at the top, and then they try to lift up. And then the gap is always constant, if not bigger.
Exactly. Which is why I said that when these elections were starting, I mentioned the fact that I've not really, as much as I voted because I had to, but then I've not really found a party that cared about the man in the middle. Almost all of them, they cared about the one at the bottom. For example, the guy at the bottom. Hey, we're gonna give sanitation to these people. We're gonna give extra grants. We're gonna increase grants to these people. And then it's dumb. For me, on my side, it was dumb because it was also useless because those people are not fighting the struggles I'm fighting. I'm fighting this. My struggle. I would openly vote for a party that promises me that I'll pay lesser interest rates on my loan, that I'll pay less cost on fuel because less fuel cost. A party that will, for example, say, oh, okay, yeah, you are going to pay less taxes, less fuel, and then maybe less rates and taxes on less municipal rates and all that. So that's what. But then people don't care about that. People don't care about the man in the middle, and then which is what fucks up things. And then this fucks up things. But then this is also what made Hitler such a powerful guy, because he was appealing to the man in the middle, to the man who's willing to wake up in the morning and then go to work, and then so he was selling his dream, he was selling his vote to that guy, the one in the middle, you see, while others were actually selling to the guy at the bottom. And then the guy at the bottom is cheap to buy, but then the minute you keep on funding that one at the bottom, then the gap keeps opening, because you're going to find the bottom. The one at the bottom does not really know much about being able to retain the value, and then the one at the top then is gonna come and then sell to the one at the bottom, take all the money. Next year they need another subsidy again. So it's a inequality.
That's the problem with the inequality. Exactly that, bro. It's exactly that. Is that even if you take from the top to give to the bottom is the bottom because of a reason.
Yeah.
And that reason is, again, it's like, well, the people that are not at the bottom found a way to get up to the top.
Yeah.
Or get out of the bottom. So the people that are at the bottom because of a reason. So whatever you try to funnel and try to fund or whatever it is, it's like it's deeper than that.
Yes.
Right? It's similar to, we're digressing a bit, but it's similar to like a drug addict. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're a drug addict, you're at the bottom. Like, you're at the bottom of life. You don't know what the hell to do with your life. You have no.
You are self-destructing.
You're self-destruct.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So what do? Okay, well, let's get him a job so that we can lift him up to the top. It's like, no, it's not going to happen. So month end, he's back at the bottom. He's back in the ditch again.
And then it becomes
his own tools to do that. Yeah,
it becomes worse, because if you can, for example, pay attention to this show, what they call it, I Blew It. Yeah, I Blew It. So there you actually see how people at the bottom think that even if you were to give them 15 million, they will chow that 15 million. Let's say, for example, you give 15 million to a janitor. They will chow that 15 million, more that 15 million up until it gets to the level whereby it's at least twice, or at most twice the price of the salary that they earn. And then that is when they start thinking of investing the money. When they've chowed all of it, and then they are left with 3,500. Oh, okay. Then that's when they start thinking of saving the money. Okay, let me invest. Let me save this 3,000, and then I will be left with it. But then in the coming month, they remember that they've got money saved somewhere. They go and then they get that money, and then from there they go back to square one, and then they go back to square one, and then they become janitors again. Why? Because it's deeper than that. It's mental. It's not something that you can cure by funding it. And then I think even the countries that actually fund the poor countries, they know this very well. They understand this very well, but then it benefits them. It benefits them somehow, and then so it's just like politicians coming and then selling women the myth of equality, and then only to get votes. And after they get votes, then they pretend that they're doing something, and then until the next votes, and then they keep on. So it's a huge currency for them for politicians.
Yep, they do it for females. They do it for different races. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's like it's like they hide the fact that you need to work and you need to actually put in the effort.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you get to where you need to get to. They say no, if you complain, it's good enough. It's like, look, it's not like that. I was saying this to this other guy about the fact that like a lot of countries have very lazy people, and even with lazy people, what they'll do is they'll get people from other countries to come and work there, right?
Yes.
But even then, it's like, even at some point, those people are going to get kicked out of that area because they're going to then still be left with a lot of people that are willing to work. And then those people are going to then push the economy or drive the country to a point whereby they only want people that work. They only want workaholics. And then what's left is the people that were there to begin with that aren't workaholics. And then they will have to then disperse, because then the natural law will just be like, well, then you guys can't do anything. You're useless here. Yeah. Right? And it only protects you this much. Right? And also as through working and through making sure that they're working hard, they make sure that they cover all the corners that these people can then get into. Right? And then what happens is that other option is crime. But then with crime, it's like, well, what are you going to do there? You have to still work. Do you think people that are in crime are not just chilling?
No, you still have to work. You still have to work, and then the work might even be much more dangerous. So at the end of the day, it's you cannot escape hard work if you really want to be something in this. You cannot run away from that.
Exactly that, bro. So yeah, man, to go back, just to conclude quickly again with this whole sexual topic as well, it's like, yeah, you get a lot of guys that'll be with women that are older because it makes sense for guys to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But again, it's like, it's a short-term thing. I'm with this girl now because she's 35, because it makes sense to me. Right? It makes sense.
You also
I don't want to start it makes sense where I'm at now. But then what's going to happen in 5 years' time? It's like, well, I'm going to then start thinking about family. What's going to happen to her? Now she's going to start wanting to have one.
Lou, I'm actually even thinking. I was actually thinking about this I was actually talking about this with my woman, asking her, Rocky, is even a human being supposed to have sex that much, like this much? Is a human being, are we designed for that? I mean, let's say, for example, we take things back to nature. We put contraceptives aside, we put condoms aside, and then we put everything aside. How many times would a human being have sex if that was the case? Because, for example, let's say, if we were to take all these other things that we actually put there so that we can have more sex and no children, and then so you see that if that was the case, it means that you're going to have sex maybe 3 or 4 times with your girlfriend, and then she's going to maybe get pregnant, and then after she gets pregnant, and then you're going to have sex a few times while she's pregnant, and then there's also going to be a time whereby now because of pregnancy, she no longer looks attractive for that part. It does not mean that you hate her, but then it's just not sexually appealing anymore until she goes. I mean, you know how a pregnant woman looks after some time, when the nose becomes this thing, and then becomes something that is far, far from what you can get. I know women can get offended by this, but then it's a reality. I can tell you for
And then
sure.
and then after that, you started. Obviously, you get stretch marks and all that stuff, and that's not attractive. But
Yes,
you can't help it.
yeah,
You
and then
can't force yourself to be attracted to it.
no, you can't. You can't. And then the sex starts dipping down. And then from there until then, when now the baby is born, and after the baby is born, obviously you cannot have the sex with the woman immediately after the baby is born. You're gonna have to wait for some time until she heals and everything. And then by the time she heals the child, for example, let's say maybe 1 year and a half and something. And then from there, she also starts getting back in shape and everything. And then she starts looking attractive to you, sexually attractive to you again. And then now you start having having another round of sex again. And then she gets pregnant again. Let's say this process happens until the age of what? Until the age of, let's say, maybe 40. And then by the time that she's 40, maybe she has got maybe 3 or 4 or 5 children. And then at that time, and then you also, it's also not something that we can run away on what happens or what the woman looks like after having 5 children with a man at the age of 40. You see, yes, you can try to be fit and everything, but then right now you've already actually she has already hit menopause after, let's say, the age of 14, 15. So if you were to count the sexual interactions between the time of the first, between the time of your first sexual encounter with her, and then the time whereby you actually no longer, you love the woman, but then you are no longer that sexually attracted. You can actually see that the amount of sexual interactions there will not be more than, I would say, will not be more than 200, yeah. But then now, because of the contraceptives, and then because of the contraceptives, and then also the hypersexuality of the modern woman and the modern man. You see, we are having so much sex with so many different people in such a way that I'm sure that by the time she reaches 40, she has actually had basically, I don't know what that does to the body. I cannot tell for now, but then maybe some guy is gonna study that later, or some woman is gonna study that later. But then I do want to think that there is something, probably even mentally, that actually gets to the point that whereby you get to the point of, right now, this is enough, and then it no longer becomes fun. It becomes a rather destructive. I don't know if I would have. Yeah, but then I'm not sure if you do understand what I'm trying to get at. That the number of.
Sure. No, I understand it 100%, bro. I understand exactly what you're doing. And again, I want to pick it up from the point where, again, like what you said, that linking it from the beginning of the conversation when you were talking about the fact that a woman's price is so high because things like that, when they happen, then it's downhill, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be as sexy. You're not going to be as attractive. You're not going to, like, a lot of men are just not going to want to be with you. That's why you need to set the price very, very high. But then as soon as you go down that road, then the price goes down. As soon as the price goes down, you're stuck with just nothing. Then you imagine, like, you're a woman, you have 3 kids, you're unemployed.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? But if you're a guy with 3 kids and you're unemployed, what can you do? You look for another guy, or look for another woman.
Yeah.
You can look for a job. You can keep the kids with the mother. Because you don't have that. You won't necessarily have that connection that a woman might have with a baby. And you will also still be attractive because there's nothing about you that will say that you had kids.
Yeah, you don't walk around with the evidence. We don't walk around. I mean, the fact that they have to be the ones they have to be the ones getting pregnant. They already walk around with the evidence. Every guy or everyone can see, okay, that one had sex and he had unprotected sex, and then maybe the father left or the father didn't leave. So there's really very little that they can do to detach themselves with the to detach themselves from the product of sex. But then with men, they can go to live dinner, they can leave the desire, or they leave the entire family, and then go and then lie and then con another woman into a new family as well that he will be creating at that point in time if he does, and then he can. So yeah, it's unfair. It's unfair. But then currently it is what it is, and then there's really nothing that they can do because this they want it this way. They want it, even though they did not say they want it this way directly. But then what they said they want freedom. When they said they wanted the freedom, they wanted the to be sexually liberated, and then to be removed from the shackles of patriarchy and misogyny and whatever this term that they always come with when they don't know what to say. Yeah. So
Look, I mean,
yeah.
Going to what Mo is saying now as well. Like, look, even as a woman, you can have a child, not have anyone, not have any guy. What are you gonna have to do? You're gonna have to leave that child to go to a job, right? Fine. You don't necessarily want to do that because as a woman, you'd much rather be with your child, just like anyone else. But a guy wouldn't really mind, right? Fine. Then you go and you're gonna go have a job, right? Cool. Go to your job, you have your child, you go and you work for it, cool. You're a strong single mother. Fantastic. Okay, then what happens? A guy comes through into your life and wants to then be with you. Okay, how are you gonna give time to this guy with having a job and having to come back to a child? Whereas he can just go to a fucking woman with no kid, right? Or no job.
Hey, they don't like this topic. Yeah, they don't like this one. No woman likes this topic because it's very, very unfair to them. Yeah, but then it is true. Whether it's unfair, whether it's true, and then we cannot shy from saying it because it's true. Because the single mother narrative is what. Because I think what women don't understand. What women don't understand is that the reason why men don't like single mothers or don't like women with the children of other men, it's really not personal because most of them want to make it personal. It is really not personal. It is as basic as wanting the best. Because here's the question. Let's say that you are a woman and then you just give birth. And then after you gave birth, they take your child and then they put your child in a group. After you give birth, they keep your child in a room full of many other children. And then they say that just take any baby, The babies they just say no, babies are babies, man. Just take any baby, don't be fast, just take any baby there. How many women do you think would take the baby? No, they won't say that. They will say, no, I don't want any other baby. I want the baby that I gave birth to. The baby that is mine, that comes from me, that I gave birth to. That is the baby that I want. I don't want any other baby. But then on the other side, they expect men to be happy dating them as single mothers. As in, the man and I is not supposed to want the child that is his. That is his, because as a father,
you see that magic trick.
Yes, that's a magic trick. Yes, so it's like what? Oh, you want your child after you give birth at the hospital. You don't want any child. You want your child. But then I'm supposed to take your child, and I'm not supposed to have my own child. I'm just supposed to take because why are you? Because so I think also because this is also why, for example, men can't forgive cheating, because it is true, men cannot forgive cheating. Well, unless since there's a lot of men that don't respect themselves enough to, because you cannot forgive a cheating woman. You cannot do that, because a cheating woman is dangerous to you and is dangerous to your resources, because you may wake up one day and find out that you have actually been funding, you have actually taken your hard-earned resources and then use them to fund another man's child. You see, because as men, that's why I'm saying that this is as natural. Animals understand this. I don't know why we want to Why we want to think that we are different? Because we know what a lion does when it comes to a male lion, when it conquers another lion, and then it takes the pride. We know that what it does is that it does what? It's gonna kill all the babies, or it's gonna kill all the babies of the other lions, and then from there it's gonna start mating, and then so that it can have its own DNA. Why? Because it's exhausting. Getting resources is exhausting, and it's something that is dangerous. Lions die trying to get resources for their offspring. So now imagine dying to get resources for a child that's not yours, and then from there, the father who's supposed to be the one risking his life to get the resources for this child, and then he's not doing it, and then you have to be the one doing it because you are a nice guy. So it's like that, and then over and above that, it's dangerous again. It's a dangerous thing to do, because it's a dangerous thing to do because
go up and then come and attack your tribe.
Yeah. You see, so it's not like that. I want mine, just as they want their children. Yes.
So I can control them. I know how they think.
Yeah, I know how they think. They are from me. Half of the blood that runs in their blood comes from me. You see,
and
so
I know that they're my responsibility, and I won't give up on them.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, they may also be the reason why I honor my responsibilities. You understand that?
Yeah.
Like they may be that motivation that. So now, like it's quite sad. And then of course you are going to have corrupt men who are just gonna come and then leave their babies there, and then let the nice ones come and then raise them. And then once they are old, then they come and then they take their offspring. Again, the funny part of it is that if I can have a child with a woman, and then you come and then you decide to play stepdaddy there, I'll probably come and murder you by the mall, or get guys to murder you by the mall if you buy my son fake Jordans.
Because you're disrespecting me.
You are disrespecting
Not
me.
my son. You're
disrespecting me. My son is my extension of me. And then whenever you buy my son fake Jordan, it doesn't matter if you had to sacrifice. Because remember again, if you are a father and then you are marrying, for example, a woman who has got a child with another man. If you have 2 children with that woman, and then there's this third one, and then you go and you work and then you bring home 2 apples, your children, your blood, the one that shares your blood, will have to share their apples. They will have to compromise themselves and then get a piece of their apple and then give it to that other one. And then so now it might be easy if, for example, I make it with an apple. Let's, for example, make it with the school. Let's say that you have got 2 children, and then you can be able to afford to take your 2 kids to the best school to the best private school in South Africa, so that they can be better human beings that are noble in the society. You see, but then now if there's the third one now, that means now they have to be compromised. They are going to have to be taken to the second best school. They can no longer be taken to the best school that you can afford, because there's the third one. And then after the third one, then what do you say when the father of the third one comes and then brings gifts to the other one? Or let's say you buy the shoes for the 3 of them. You decide, okay, I'm gonna take my 600. I'm no longer gonna buy them 2 pairs of 300. I'm going to take the 600. I'm gonna split it in 3 and then buy all 3 kids, including my stepchild. And then the father of the stepchild comes, and then December, and then he comes and then he brings the nice pair of shoes for his child, because he has a responsibility to his child. And then he brings, now in your household you have children which are yours, who are yours, and then they've got 2 pairs of, they've got one pair of shoes, and then there's this one that has got two pairs of shoes, and then you are the one who facilitated that one didn't have. So you have already created an inequality that you cannot be able to control by trying to be nice. So you cannot be nice. That's why I'm saying that I always discourage guys at all times to in dealing with women with children. If the woman has got a child, and then I always advise the guys to sit back and then to step outside and then find. There's plenty of women who don't have children. In fact, there's so many women that every hour there's a woman that is turning 18 and is ready to get into the competition. It's ready to get into the competition radar of a woman of the ones that are existing. So there's really no reason for men to lower their themselves to that level, you see.
Yeah, well, that's primarily it. I mean, for me, again, like I've got friends that have done that and have successfully done that, and I applaud them because you have to be really strong to do that. You have to.
No, you have to wear size 14. You have to wear a size 14 shoe. You have to be a very, very big guy, because if you move my child, then he comes and he tells me that you put him. I'm going to organize Nyaope points for you. They're gonna paint you they're gonna paint you real good.
For a regular man, yeah, bro, it's very, very difficult. And yeah, I mean, well, like again, that's why I said that if you're a woman and you're in your late 30s, 40s with kids, you're just going to be lined up to be exploited. Like you're just going to be lined up to be exploited by any guy that's going to be in the streets, especially the guys that can't get the girls that they want. Of course they're going to come. Of course, I mean, you're there, you're an easy target. It's like you might not want to know that, but it's the truth. It's the same with what we talked about yesterday about like anyone that.
Sorry, I see a question here. Sorry, I got it. I see a question. They say that, okay, what must happen to the women with babies then? Don't they deserve to be loved? Well, they've already been loved, and then they've been loved, and then they've already been loved, and then they made love. That's why they have children. I mean, the children, I'm sure they told each other they love each other very much when they were busy having the children that they have. So it's not like they've not gotten their shot. They have gotten their shot. I'm
trying not to even respond to Mo because she said to me that she was going to be on here and she's busy just typing.
Oh, it's Mo. I can go. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I think we're fought about it.
She said, no, I'm ready for this. And now she's just chilling, typing, and not trying to actually put in her 2 cents. So
I can respond to what worry. Yeah. So but then that is it. I think her question is very important though, because that's a question that every woman asks. But then it highlights the importance of making sure that the men that you sleep with, the men that you give your womb to, is the man who's going to love you, and then he's a man who wants to be the father of your children, and then it's the man who's there, who has sort of surrendered himself into the task of being a father, into the responsibility of being a father. It's not something you cannot get love from column A, and then get a child from column B, and then get sex from column C. You always have to make sure that all these things they come from one column, because you're gonna have a problem if that is the case.
Yeah, you would like to think that until you get into your 40s.
Yeah. You would like to think you can get love from column A and then get the baby from column B, which is what I've had women in many cases say that I broke up with the father of my child because he was a bum, and then he did not love me enough, and then I'm gonna go find someone who loves me. Like, oh, it's too late. It's too late, because That's the man who should have loved you. It's not fair.
That's the one.
That's the one. That's your soulmate. Or you get the ones that, for example, got pregnant by their high school sweethearts. And then from there, the high school sweetheart was a guy wearing what you call SKL. What do you call that kid? The PEM. What do you call that PEM? Was a guy, and then now she no longer thinks that PEM looks nice anymore. And then now she wants to dump the guy and then get another guy. But no, you can. It does not happen like that. Once you having a child with someone is the original marriage. The two have become one. Even if you want to use the Bible to explain that the two have become one, and then you are now inseparable. Both your bloods are running through your product, and then it's not something that you cannot extract yours or expel the father. No, you can't. It's not possible. It's not possible at all. You see.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Unless Elon Musk can do something for us.
Yeah, no. But until this day, I don't think. For now, I don't. I think we still have to wait a little bit more. You see.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Man, my battery's bro. I actually do want to get into some more conversation like this with you.
Yeah.
Maybe in the weekend and stuff. But thanks for that, bro.
Maybe.
Sure
Yeah. Maybe in the future we have to talk about. I was listening to the radio the other day where they were talking about the pregnancy rate among the kids, the pregnancy rate among the kids from age 9 to 15. They say that many I don't know if you've been listening to that narrative.
Everywhere across the world. It's in East London. It's in East London, in South Africa, and in London, in England.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, man.
And then from listening to that, it's almost that, like listening to that, I've actually the reason why I want to talk about it is because I've actually found the narrative shifting to blaming men again. And then it's almost as if to blaming men again, and I get very sensitive when I see people blaming men because I try to be practical and then also see things. And then it's almost as if these people forget that kids have sex, and then kids are fertile, and kids can have kids. And then for the most part, it's not really the elderly men that are doing that. It's other kids. An 18-year-old and another 18-year-old having sex, they're going to have a child. A 16-year-old boy and another 16-year-old girl having sex are going to have children. It's like that. So it's one. I think that the reason why they don't investigate this thing, because they always say that men must do better, men must do what, but then they never really
if they investigate it, then they'll find out the truth. If they find out the truth, then they can't make a story.
Yes, because these children watch porn. They watch porn. They know everything about sex. They know everything about sex. Yes. So I think it's also the reason why they want. But then it would have been nice if, for example, it would be nice if we got a woman who was or anyone who was pro blaming men about this. I just wanted to know, to find out if I just wanted to find out directly from them if they've actually have thoroughly interrogated this, or they just say Rocky because the women are pregnant, then it must be the men's fault. I think
like I said to you last time, man. Like, I've been open to speak to everyone, and like most of the time when someone listens to the way that the angles that you're coming from, then then they kind of say no, rather not. Because again, like I said, it's like it's not biased.
Yeah.
And even if it is biased, it's biased towards humans.
Yeah.
So can't really run away from that. So yeah, boy. Thanks, man.
Okay, no, thanks, Luke.
Sure, cheers, my brother.
Okay, bye bye, Mudier. I can see Mudier is not pleased. Today is not pleased with the fact that single mothers cannot be.
Cheers, my brother.